For a small group of Oklahomans, the year 2014 began in Dhaka, the capital city of Bangladesh. 10 of us were part of a cultural exchange, sharing ideas about journalism, business, and public relations with fellow professionals from that developing South Asian nation. The exchange was administered by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Oklahoma under a grant from the U.S. State Department. We learned that Bangladesh and the U.S. are more connected than you might think during our 10 days in Dhaka.
Smog is the first thing you notice about Dhaka. It hangs heavy over the capital of Bangladesh, the 9th largest city in the world, with more than 16 million people. Regulation is lax, and the city's environment suffers. The Dhaka skyline exposes the contradiction of Bangladesh, a developing nation with burgeoning high-rises and stifling poverty. Dhaka's massive population is most evident in its crowded, hyperactive streets, a sensory overload of sights, sounds, smells, energy, and traffic. Modes of transportation, new and old, collide at a frantic pace. Worn, dented, paint-scraped buses show that urban driving is a contact sport. Small green CNG-propelled baby taxis skitter across the streets like water bugs atop a warm, stagnant pond. The streets are punctuated by the laborious lunges of rickshaw drivers pulling their brightly decorated carts, keeping their passengers moving through each slight break in the snarl. Pedestrians weave throughout it all, some with children, dodging vehicles in a traffic flow that seems to go every way at once. The streets of Dhaka are alive with vitality, chaotic tangles where green lights mean go and red lights mean nothing.
The cars you will see are bruised and they have dent marks on them, so it's very frequently they graze each other. But nevertheless, we have to learn to live with this. I think overall people have learned to be patient and accepting of these things. So it's a part of everyday life to live life like that, life on the edge, for you. This is quite normal for us.
Ground level in Dhaka is a gritty, dusty place where the streets only turn quiet late at night or during hartals, work and travel stoppages designed to protest government action. During our visit, hartals were imposed by groups opposing the national parliamentary elections. Visitors were warned not to go out in motorized vehicles for fear of spontaneous and random violence. Our Gaylord College crew, the founding members of the Sooner Club of Dhaka, traveled in a marked television news van, considered to be immune to threat and attack. Most of the election-related violence occurred in rural parts of Bangladesh and was directed at other citizens, not foreign visitors. The hartal actually helped us. The lack of traffic allowed greater freedom of movement across the city. We could travel in 20 minutes to locations that might normally take an hour or more to reach. It was an exciting time to be in Dhaka. Our visits to the city's television stations provided the chance to not only see how Bangladesh TV operates, but to watch how those news organizations handled national political news coverage. Behind the scenes, we found the television news environment to be very similar to the U.S., using much of the same equipment, terminology, and techniques. The major news channels in Dhaka do frequent newscasts called news bulletins, featuring strong production values, live shots from the field, and interviews with newsmakers. 4 of us were even guests on one of the leading public affairs talk shows in Dhaka, discussing American journalism on TV 71. Our station visits were newsworthy too, pushing aside election coverage for a few minutes in the crowded TV news cycle. Interest in the media is high in Bangladesh. 7 years ago, there were just 5 TV stations. Now there are 26, with 4 all-news channels, and more than a dozen stations are expected to go on air in Bangladesh in the next 5 years. Financial sustainability is a concern. Many of the outlets in this rapidly expanding media environment will not last more than 3 years. But for now, the opportunity is there for prestige, profits, and a meaningful share of the market. Many private business owners see operating a media organization as an attractive way to achieve prominence, influence, and a relationship with government officials. Two of the organizations we visited, Independent and Channel I, combine television, radio, and newspaper to form multimedia powerhouses. Election coverage dominated television news and the front pages of Dhaka's newspapers. There are 8 English-language dailies in Dhaka. On our visit to one of them, the Daily Star, we learned that newspapers in Bangladesh often take strong political stances on issues. Courageous in a country where the press is considered independent, but where government officials commonly seek to influence editorial decision-making and news content. Bangladesh is a relatively young nation, gaining its independence in 1971. The country is almost 90% Muslim, but the government is secular, a democracy with free elections. U.S. Ambassador Dan Mosina told us Bangladesh is of deep strategic importance to the United States, an outpost for democracy, moderation, and free enterprise located in the heart of South Asia. The purpose of our cultural exchange was to learn more about this emerging nation, to create new partnerships, and exchange ideas on journalism, public relations, and business development. We had casual home-style dinners with host families, conferred with our media colleagues, and met with college students and young entrepreneurs seeking business advice and opportunities. Bangladesh has a population estimated at 160 million, located in an area 16% smaller than Oklahoma. A high percentage of its residents are under 30. Each of us was struck by the friendliness and enthusiasm of the young people we met, as they reached out for guidance in developing and marketing innovative products and services to claim their share of the world economy. And in a country where weather and structural collapses frequently turn deadly, our delegation told a large group of students about the lessons we learned from covering and managing natural and man-made disasters in Oklahoma. A devastating cyclone that struck Bangladesh in 1970 killed 500,000 people and led to the formation of the Bangladesh Rural Advancement Committee, commonly called BRAC. Its founder told us the cyclone inspired him to leave Shell Oil and create BRAC, which has grown into the world's largest development organization, with more than 100,000 employees, reaching an estimated 135 million people in Bangladesh and 10 other developing countries. BRAC is a non-governmental organization that provides a wide variety of services and financing, promoting health and nutrition, education, economic development, agriculture and food security, water and sanitation, gender justice and diversity, human rights, environmental protection, and humanitarian relief. BRAC's work and the resilience of the Bangladeshi people is vividly illustrated in the Koral slum, the largest slum in Dhaka. We accessed the slum by flat-bottom boat, skimming across a thick brew of water, waste, and pollution, guarding the 100-acre tract that is home to almost 50,000 people. Walking through the grimy, narrow streets of the slum, we found an orderly, self-contained ecosystem amidst the staggering poverty. A maze of handcrafted shelters and shanty homes, rudimentary stores selling fruits and vegetables, clothing, household goods, and electronics, a barber shop, and a maternity clinic operated by BRAC.
That is that. When our Shastha Kormi,
most of BRAC's work is done through women, focusing on health, hygiene, education, and microfinancing for business startups. Inside the clinic, we met young, expectant mothers-to-be, learning about pregnancy, childbirth, and maternal and infant health. We saw the delivery room, where each of these women would give birth, with no anesthesia, but with some limited medical care and ample encouragement. Our delegation also visited one of the slum schools, where eager children greeted us with a smile and a festive dance.
Children from various age groups come and study there together. And these are, most of the BRAC schools are pre-primary and primary schools. We have 37 primary schools in the Koral slum. So they do aspire to be doctors and engineers, but not necessarily that we're going to get there. But at least education gives them an opportunity, a window to better themselves.
The children told us what they like most about school is learning. And what will these young people do with their education? The answer to that question may well define the path for Bangladesh as it matures as a nation. The obstacles and opportunities of Bangladesh are captured in and around this Dhaka slum. Located within easy distance of thriving business, residential, and cultural districts are the faces of poverty and the future. In Dhaka, rich and poor, old and young, hopeless and hopeful are each juxtaposed at this intersection of yesterday and tomorrow. The development of Bangladesh may well be determined by how it serves its young people. At age 42, Bangladesh is still in the formative stage of a great socio-economic and political experiment. And a few Oklahomans had a chance to observe it during 10 days in Dhaka.